All right, let's just jump right in. We're standing on the edge of a world that's about to be run by literally billions of autonomous AI agents. I'm talking about agents doing real work, spending real money. And that brings up a massive question. In this future, how are these agents going to find each other? And maybe even more importantly, how are they going to trust each other? Well, the answer, it might not be what you think.
And this quote right here, this is our starting point. It's a really powerful idea that completely flips everything we think we know about online discovery on its head. So forget about a Google for agents. We need to be thinking about something much more exclusive, much more secure.
So why is the whole search engine model just wrong for this? Well, it's what the source material calls the yellow pages trap. And it's this pattern, this obsession we see everywhere. People are trying to build a better digital phone book for a future that needs something completely different.
This right here is what's being called the original sin of the internet. You see, the web was designed to help us find documents, cat videos, recipes, stuff like that. The cost of a bad search result, it's basically zero. You just hit the back button. No big deal. But now we're trying to apply that exact same logic to autonomous agents that are making high-stakes, multi-million-dollar deals. It just doesn't work.
The contrast here is absolutely crucial. Finding a recipe, that's a simple informational interaction. No harm, no foul if you pick the wrong one. But an agent hedging currency risk, that's a liability interaction. Choosing the wrong counterparty isn't just a small inconvenience, it could be a total catastrophe. An agent isn't just looking for information, it's looking for a partner to lock into a binding contract with.
So here's the key takeaway. When a real-world procurement officer needs a critical component, they don't just grab the yellow pages, right? No way. They rely on trusted relationships, introductions from a partner, a vouch from their bank. We've been busy trying to solve for search when we should have been trying to solve for verifiable trust.
So let's really dig into how this flawed directory approach creates these huge, dangerous problems. You've probably remembered that classic cartoon, "On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog." Well, in the agent economy, the new caption is something more like, "Nobody knows you're a rogue script." Let's break down the 4 frictions that make this so incredibly risky. First up, we've got semantic friction. Imagine an agent needs to order 50,000 batteries. Okay, but does that mean AA batteries for the office supply closet, or does it mean artillery batteries for a weapon system? Humans, we use context to figure this stuff out. But agents, they need rigid, deterministic language. A public directory that's just full of ambiguous keywords is an absolute recipe for disaster.
Second is the trust friction. This is the classic internet dog problem. A listing in some directory proves that someone, somewhere, exists, but it tells you nothing, absolutely nothing, about their reliability or their history. Anyone can spin up an ID and call themselves Goldman Sachs. Trust isn't a name you can just look up. It has to be a verifiable history of successful transactions.
Third, we have authority friction, and this one is subtle but so critical. You might find a legitimate agent from a legitimate company. That's great, but does it have the authority to sign a $50 million deal? Or just to order more pens for the office? We often confuse identity, which is who are you, with authority, which is what are you actually allowed to do. And finally, there's context friction. Think about this. If your agent broadcasts a public query for uranium suppliers, you haven't just found a supplier. You've also just alerted the entire world, your competitors, scammers, intelligence agencies, to your sensitive business. In the agentic economy, information isn't neutral. Information is liability. High-value discovery has to be private. It's non-negotiable.
Okay, so if a global phone book is a trap, what's the solution? Well, this is where we get back to our central metaphor. We don't need to build a better directory. We need to build a better, more secure room. We need what's called the cocktail party protocol. Okay, so here's how it actually works. It all starts with the host. Think of this as the bouncer at a private, digital clean room with some very strict rules. Now, to get in, you need an invitation from the introducer, which is a trusted entity like your bank. And this makes the interaction itself pre-trusted, because only vetted, verified members are even allowed in the room to begin with.
And that right there, that's the fundamental shift. We're moving away from a public query of "show me everyone" to a trusted capability. You gain the right to meet someone new because you both share a pre-verified relationship with a trusted third party.
And the result? It's pretty amazing. It means that by the time your agent even says hello to another agent, all the hard work is already finished. You don't need to ask, "Are you a dog?" because, well, dogs aren't allowed in the room. You don't need to ask, can you actually pay for this? Because a broke agent would never have gotten an invitation in the first place.
Now, I know what you're probably asking. This all sounds great, but what if I don't know anyone? How do I get into the party in the first place? And that is the key question. We need a strategy for safely turning a complete stranger into a trusted partner.
This is what's called the watering hole strategy. You start on the public web, and you find what the source calls a brute fact. Think of it like a business card you just found on the floor. It's just a claim, right? But instead of trusting it, you send an invitation to a secure private room. Inside that room, your banks talk to each other, and they vouch for their respective clients. And once that deal is successfully done, that stranger is no longer a stranger. They're a new verified node in your trust network.
So think of it this way. It makes the whole strategy perfectly clear. The watering hole, the public internet, is where we meet strangers. But the cocktail party, that private, secure room, is where we turn them into partners.
So what's the big picture takeaway from all of this? I mean, what does this really change? Well, it's a profound shift in how the digital economy is going to work. Actually, it's nothing less than the death of search engine optimization as we know it.
For the last 2 decades, the whole game of the digital economy has been about one thing: attention. The winner was always the loudest shouter, the company that was best at gaming the search algorithm. But in this new world of agents, the core metric is integrity, and the winner is the good neighbor, the one with a verifiable, provable history of paying on time and delivering quality.
And this is the mic drop moment. Reputation stops being this abstract thing based on Yelp reviews and instead becomes a tangible, verifiable asset. Your good name is now literally your cryptographic history, signed and proven by your partners. And the best part? You can't fake it and you can't buy it. You actually have to earn it.
So this leaves us with one final, really crucial question to think about. As all of us are building for this future of AI, we just have to ask ourselves, are we just making a bigger, better phone book for strangers? Or are we building better, safer rooms where trusted partners can actually get business done?